The singles table was tucked behind a marble pillar in the farthest corner of the ballroom, next to the kitchen doors. I could smell catering staff's cigarette smoke drifting through the service entrance. "Here you go," the wedding planner said, her smile not reaching her eyes. She placed a cheap paper name card at the table. "Miscellaneous guests." Not even our names, just a category. "This is the family section?" I asked, watching my sister Vanessa's elaborate seating chart unfold across the ballroom. Front tables glittered with crystal centerpieces and gold-embossed place cards. "This is the singles table. Your sister was very specific about the arrangement." The planner's tone suggested I should be grateful for any seat at all. She wants her wedding to reflect coupled success. You understand. I understood perfectly. At 32, I was unmarried, which in my family's social circle translated to unsuccessful. Never mind my actual career. Never mind the diplomatic credentials in my purse. In Vanessa's world, a woman without a husband was incomplete, regardless of what else she'd accomplished. "Of course," I said, taking my seat. Around me, 5 other singles table occupants arrived. Vanessa's college friend going through a divorce, a twice-widowed elderly aunt, our cousin's awkward teenage son, a family friend's daughter with visible social anxiety, and a middle-aged bachelor uncle everyone avoided at family gatherings. We were the wedding's unwanted collection, hidden from view. My mother swept past in Dior, air-kissing guests at the prominent tables. She didn't glance toward our corner. My father was already at the head table, laughing with Vanessa's soon-to-be husband, Marcus, a hedge fund manager whose family owned half the commercial real estate in Boston. Vanessa appeared in her custom Vera Wang gown, worth more than most people's cars. She caught my eye from across the ballroom and gave me a tight smile before turning away. The message was clear. I'd been placed exactly where I belonged in her hierarchy. I pulled out my phone and checked my secure email. 3 messages from the State Department. 2 from my attaché in London. 1 marked urgent from the Royal Household Coordinator in Copenhagen. The last one made me pause. "Ambassador Chen, confirming His Majesty King Frederick's attendance at your sister's wedding as discussed. Security detail arriving 4:15 p.m. Please advise final coordination." I checked my watch. 4:03 p.m. The ceremony was scheduled to start at 4:30. This would be interesting. I'd mentioned to my family once 6 months ago that I worked in international relations. My mother had said, "That's nice, dear. Maybe you'll meet a nice diplomat to settle down with." My father had asked if I'd gotten a promotion to secretary yet. Vanessa had been too busy planning her wedding to respond at all. None of them had asked what international relations meant. None of them knew I was the U.S. ambassador to Denmark, the youngest ambassador in recent diplomatic history. None of them knew that my work over the past 4 years had strengthened critical NATO alliances and facilitated major trade agreements. None of them had wondered why a Danish king would attend Vanessa's wedding. He wasn't here for Vanessa. At 4:12 p.m., I noticed unusual activity at the ballroom entrance. Men in dark suits with earpieces had begun positioning themselves at strategic points. The wedding planner looked confused, approaching one of them with her clipboard. The conversation was brief. The wedding planner's face went pale. She scurried toward my mother, whispering frantically. My mother's shocked expression was visible even from the singles table. She looked around the ballroom, searching for something or someone. Her eyes finally landed on me, hidden behind the pillar. I gave her a small wave. My mother hurried over, her Dior gown swishing. "Sophia, what is happening? There are security people here saying something about a king." "Oh, that." I took a sip of water. "King Frederick of Denmark is attending the wedding. He should arrive any moment." "King Frederick? Of Denmark? Why would he?" My mother stopped, her face cycling through confusion, realization, and panic. "You. This is about you. I work with the Danish royal household regularly. King Frederick and I have collaborated on several diplomatic initiatives. When he heard I had a family wedding during his state visit, he graciously offered to attend. I thought I mentioned it." "You absolutely did not mention it. Didn't I? I must have forgotten. It's been so busy coordinating the security protocols and seating arrangements with his detail." I paused. Speaking of seating arrangements, where exactly were you planning to put a reigning monarch? My mother's face drained of color. We didn't, there's no seat for him? I supplied helpfully. That is a problem. Diplomatic protocol requires he be seated at the head table or equivalent position of honor. You can't exactly put the King of Denmark at the singles table behind a pillar. The wedding planner materialized beside my mother, her earlier smugness replaced by barely controlled panic. Ms. Chun, Ambassador Chun, we need to completely reconfigure the seating chart. His Majesty's security detail is insisting on. Ambassador Chun? My mother's voice was faint. Ambassador. U.S. Ambassador to Denmark. I confirmed. Appointed 4 years ago. I've been meaning to tell you properly, but between your focus on Vanessa's wedding and my posting in Copenhagen, we never seem to find the time. You're an ambassador. My mother sat down heavily in one of the singles table chairs. An actual ambassador. To Denmark. Yes. Hence the Danish king attending my sister's wedding. Well, technically he's attending as a diplomatic courtesy to me, but it's convenient timing since he's already in the States for the NATO summit. The head of the security detail approached, a stern Danish man named Henrik, whom I'd worked with many times. Ambassador Chen, His Majesty's motorcade is 2 minutes out. We need to finalize the seating arrangements and security perimeter. Of course, Henrik. I stood, smoothing my dress, a tasteful navy designer piece I'd chosen specifically because it was appropriate for both a wedding and receiving royalty. The head table is there, though I understand there may not be a designated seat. That's being rectified now, Henrik said, glancing at the wedding planner who was frantically directing staff to add chairs to the head table. My father appeared, his face red. Sophia, what in God's name is happening? There are men with guns repositioning our guests. Security protocols, Dad. When a head of state attends an event, certain measures are necessary. Don't worry, Henrik's team is very professional. Vanessa rushed over, her veil askew, her perfect composure shattered. You invited a king to my wedding? Without asking me? Actually, he invited himself as a diplomatic courtesy. And I did mention I might have an international colleague attending. You told me you were too busy with flower arrangements to discuss my guest list. An international colleague isn't a king. In diplomatic circles, that's exactly what a king is. An international colleague. I turned to Henrik. Where would His Majesty prefer me positioned for the receiving protocol? He requests you join him at the head table, Ambassador. He wishes to discuss the upcoming trade summit during dinner. My mother made a small choking sound. Sophia, my father said slowly, are you telling us you're important enough that a king wants to discuss policy with you? At your sister's wedding. Yes, Dad. That's what ambassadors do. We conduct international relations. It doesn't pause for family events. The ballroom had descended into controlled chaos. Guests were being moved from their carefully assigned seats to accommodate security requirements. The singles table was being cleared entirely, too close to an exit, apparently. The elderly widow and the teenage cousin looked relieved to escape. Vanessa's perfect seating chart, the one she'd spent months crafting to showcase her social hierarchy, was being systematically demolished by Danish royal security. This is ruined, Vanessa whispered, tears forming. My entire wedding is ruined. Your wedding is about to be attended by a king, I said calmly. Most people would consider that an upgrade. At 4:28 p.m., the motorcade arrived. Through the ballroom windows, I could see black vehicles with diplomatic plates. Henrik spoke into his radio, and the security detail snapped to attention. King Frederick entered the ballroom with the easy confidence of someone accustomed to dramatically altering the atmosphere of any room he entered. He was in his late 50s, distinguished, wearing an impeccably tailored suit rather than formal royal regalia. This was a semi-private diplomatic courtesy, after all. Ambassador Chen, he said warmly, approaching me directly. Thank you for allowing me to intrude on your family celebration. I curtsied, proper protocol, and he took my hand. Your Majesty, the honor is ours. May I present my family? My mother, Patricia Chen. My father, David Chen. And my sister, the bride, Vanessa Chen. My family stood frozen, completely unprepared for this moment. Vanessa managed an awkward curtsy. My mother looked close to fainting. My father, for once in his life, appeared speechless. "Miss Chun," King Frederick said to Vanessa, "congratulations on your marriage. Your sister speaks of you fondly." Vanessa's mouth opened and closed wordlessly. I'd never seen her so off balance. "I apologize for the disruption my attendance causes," the king continued, addressing my parents. "Your daughter has been instrumental in strengthening Danish-American relations." When she mentioned a family wedding during my state visit, I couldn't miss the opportunity to see her outside the diplomatic context. We had no idea," my mother managed. "No idea about what, precisely?" King Frederick asked pleasantly. "That our daughter was that she worked with, that she was important enough for." My mother trailed off. "Important enough for a king to attend her sister's wedding?" King Frederick smiled. "Ambassador Chun is one of the most effective diplomats I've worked with. Her negotiations on the renewable energy partnership alone have reshaped Denmark's economic outlook. She's highly respected in international circles." He turned to me. "Shall we be seated? I believe we're delaying the ceremony." Henrik had arranged for King Frederick to sit beside me at the hastily reconfigured head table. This required displacing Marcus's best man and one of Vanessa's bridesmaids, who were moved to secondary tables. The social hierarchy Vanessa had carefully constructed was now inverted. The Danish king and the sister she'd hidden behind a pillar now occupied the most prominent positions. The ceremony proceeded in a daze. Vanessa went through the motions, but I could see her eyes constantly darting to the head table where I sat beside King Frederick, engaged in quiet conversation about upcoming NATO initiatives. Marcus kept glancing our way too, his earlier dismissiveness replaced by visible confusion. During the reception, guests who'd previously ignored me suddenly found reasons to approach the head table. Old family friends who'd barely acknowledged my existence now wanted introductions. Vanessa's society friends, who'd laughed about the singles table placement, now jockeyed for position near the king. My mother appeared during dinner, her voice trembling. "Sophia, why didn't you tell us? About being an ambassador? About working with royalty?" "I tried, Mom. 6 months ago, at Sunday dinner. I said I'd been appointed to a diplomatic position in Copenhagen. You asked if I'd met any nice Danish men to date. Dad asked if I'd gotten a promotion to secretary." Vanessa was selecting bridesmaid dresses and changed the subject. "But you should have insisted. Made us understand." "Made you understand what? That I mattered? That my work was significant? I shouldn't have to insist on basic family interest in my life." King Frederick, overhearing, interjected gently. "Mrs. Chun, your daughter has represented American interests with remarkable skill. She's negotiated agreements that will benefit both our nations for generations. She's the youngest ambassador to Denmark in a century. You should be extraordinarily proud." "We are," my mother said automatically, but her face showed shame. Vanessa approached during the dessert course, her makeup streaked with tears. "Sophia, everyone is talking about you. About the king. About your career. This was supposed to be my day." "It is your day, Vanessa. You're married to the man you love. Isn't that what matters? But everyone keeps asking about you. About Denmark. About diplomacy. My wedding is being overshadowed by my sister, the ambassador." She spat the title like an accusation. "You put me at the singles table behind a pillar," I said quietly. "You literally categorized me as miscellaneous guests. You demonstrated exactly how much I mattered to you. Did you expect the King of Denmark to sit there too? You should have told me. I tried. You weren't interested. None of you were interested until someone important validated my existence." King Frederick departed after dinner, as protocol required. Before leaving, he made a point of publicly thanking Vanessa for her hospitality and congratulating her again. Then he turned to my parents. "Your daughter is a credit to your family and to America. I hope you realize what a remarkable woman she is." The motorcade left, taking the security detail with it. The ballroom slowly returned to normal wedding reception chaos. But nothing was normal anymore. Marcus approached me cautiously. Ambassador Chun. I had no idea. I'm Marcus, your brother-in-law now, I suppose. We've never really talked. No, we haven't. You've been busy with your hedge fund.
Right.
Listen, my firm has been looking at Scandinavian investments. If you ever wanted to discuss Danish economic policy, I'll have my office send you the public briefings, I said coolly. Everything else is confidential. He retreated. My father sat beside me, looking older than I'd ever seen him. Sophia, I owe you an apology. Several apologies. Yes, you do. I assumed your work was modest because you never pushed back when we dismissed it. I should have asked more questions. You should have. But you were too busy celebrating Vanessa's corporate job and her successful engagement. My diplomatic posting was apparently too boring to warrant follow-up questions. That's on us. On me.
He paused.
Can we start over? Can you tell me about Denmark? About your work? Maybe, I said. After you explain why you thought it was acceptable to let Vanessa hide me at the singles table like an embarrassing relative. I'm your daughter too, Dad. I deserved better than that, ambassador or not. He had no answer. The wedding ended around midnight. As guests departed, several stopped to speak with me. People who'd ignored me hours earlier when I was merely the unmarried sister at the miscellaneous table. I kept my responses polite but brief. Vanessa found me by the coat check. I suppose you're satisfied now. You completely stole my wedding. I didn't steal anything, Vanessa. A head of state attended as a diplomatic courtesy. If that overshadowed your carefully planned social hierarchy, maybe your priorities need examination. Easy for you to say. You have kings at your disposal. I have professional relationships built on years of hard work. You had me at your disposal, your sister, and you put me behind a pillar with the social rejects. Which matters more? She walked away without answering. 3 weeks later, I returned to Copenhagen. My parents called twice, asking about my work, trying to rebuild bridges. I answered politely but briefly. Trust, once broken, required more than sudden interest prompted by royal validation. Vanessa sent one text. Mom says you're not coming to Christmas. Everyone thinks you're being petty. I replied, everyone thought I was unimportant enough to hide at the singles table. I'm simply accepting your assessment. My uncle Richard, the bachelor from the singles table, sent me an email. Sophia, that was the most spectacular family dinner reversal I've ever witnessed. Proud of you. Also, thanks for getting me moved to a better table once the king arrived. Best wedding I've attended in years. The wedding photos circulated through family channels. In most of them, I'm clearly visible at the head table beside King Frederick, engaged in animated diplomatic conversation. Vanessa is beautiful in her Vera Wang gown, but in every shot, guests are turned toward the head table, toward me. The singles table photos, the ones from before the king's arrival, show me alone behind a pillar, checking my phone, invisible to my own family. I framed both sets of photos in my Copenhagen office. A reminder that competence doesn't require family validation. That quiet success is still success. And that sometimes, a king's security detail is the only thing capable of correcting your family's willful blindness. The singles table taught me everything I needed to know about where I stood in my family's priorities. King Frederick simply made sure everyone else learned it too.